To deliver the inaugural address, we invite Mr. Sudheer Warrier, Senior Vice President, TCS, Global Head of the Utilities Business Unit. Mr. Warrier has 26 years of experience in IT and consulting industry. He has been instrumental in driving several successful strategic initiatives for TCS. He has played many roles like project manager, program manager, account relationship manager, operations head, delivery center head, and practice head. Sir, please join us on stage.
Good morning. Firstly, thank you to PMI for giving this opportunity to come and speak here. Everybody says whoever is invited is taking time off their busy schedule, thank you and all of that. But I think we also owe it to find time and come and share whatever we have experienced. So thank you PMI for this opportunity. So as I was sitting there, I had a few observations to make. First is in that knowledge format that you put, there was everything but the inaugural speech. So I was very happy because there is no format. I can say whatever I want to say. There is no expectation. Okay, so that's a good thing. Secondly, the agenda says, I was actually getting worried that we're getting delayed, but I suddenly realized that I'm onto the podium 15 minutes earlier than I should be. So probably, I don't know, this is by design that PMI always creates buffer and, like a good project, right from the beginning they say as much buffer you create, it will be useful in the end, right? So maybe some other speaker will benefit from this buffer. I don't definitely intend to speak for 45 minutes here. I'll speak for some time. Maybe if there are questions, I can take a few questions if there is a format. Because inaugural speech doesn't have a format, I'm just suggesting people want to. So once, when I was asked to come and speak here, initially it was some slot for 30 minutes and talk about project management, and then it turned out that I'm the inaugural speaker. And then I looked at the topic, till then I was thinking it is PMI conference, so everybody will come and talk about project management in their own ways. And then it suddenly struck me that there is a theme which says harnessing people power for project success. So I thought it has to be something related to the theme, and I thought about that theme that you have given, which is very interesting actually. I didn't know that innovation and transformation and all of that has already happened. The reason why this topic very coincidentally very interesting to me personally is because I have experienced projects for the last 25-26 years in different ways, and I have realized that people are more important than anything else. And I'll tell you why. I know here not all of the people here are from the IT software field which I come from, but whatever my learnings and observations are, I pretty much think will apply to anybody in any field. That's my belief. So what we have seen is, if you take the whole PMI Institute and the PMP certification and all that, there is so much of emphasis on process, right? You need to know exactly how to run a project as a project manager, what all you need to do. There is ways of doing it, you get certified. Then with every year passing, there is more and more technology that is available, and how you execute projects in whichever field also depends on technology. Right? You need to know how to make use of technology for the project. So the way I look at it is technology forms the platform and process gives you a structure to work. Both are extremely important, don't get me wrong. If one has to be consistent, you need process. If one has to be productive, you need technology. So consistency and productivity are extremely important. So the idea is not to defocus on that. We have to continue focusing on it. But if you really look at the difference comes from people. And when I say people, ultimately the experience of a project is very, very important. Whether it is for your team that's working with you, the customer, or for any other stakeholder, experience is very important. So if you all just sit back and think of the many years you have lived your life, what remains is the experience or the impact of something, right? If you had, for example, 5 years from now, you may not be able to remember every detail of the rain that happened in Chennai and all of that, right? But what will remain is, what was that experience? You know, whether it was from your family, from your company, from the state, from wherever, how that whole situation was handled. That experience is what remains in your mind. So we all, irrespective of where we belong in the whatever strata, we all are looking for experience. So we have to understand that experience can only come from people. So effectiveness has to come from people. So when I saw this theme of harnessing people power for project success, I was actually very impressed that, you know, somebody has thought about people in a conference or an institute which puts so much emphasis on process. So when I look at experience of executing projects, I think barring one lady here, the rest of us are all Indians, right? We have some inherent problems. Indians, okay? Firstly, we are not assertive to the extent we should be. We are living in a global world. So don't get me wrong, there are people here who are assertive, you know, don't come and tell me later that I'm actually assertive, how do you know? I'm saying in general, from my experience, Indians are not assertive enough. Secondly, we have a huge problem in documenting what we have to say or what we have said. It's a huge problem for us. We think it's like the waiter who comes and takes order in some of the restaurants. They think it is so substandard to look at something and read, or refer to something and, you know, talk. It has to all come from memory. You know, I don't want to look at a checklist. I just don't want to follow so the whole pressure on process in India specifically is because the way we grow, looking at something and following a process, documentation is taken as not being that intelligent. Okay, it's deep rooted in our system. So we, you know, it's all about that person is good, okay, the thing gets done very well, right? So there is this second thing of documentation. The third thing, which is not anything specific to Indians, is, and it's world over I've seen this, is this whole world, the word of collaboration, working together, common goals, is all very iffy. People don't really mean what they say. So if projects have to be successful and people power has to be harnessed, people have to learn to come together and collaborate. Really collaborate, because there is collaboration across industries, across partners, across divisions. No project today can be restricted to a very homogeneous group, right? With so much of if you look at technology that is going, there are people who can provide you services. You have to avail of that service. Then you have to do something else. You have to put all this together. Then you need a system integrator to put all this in any field for that matter, right? So collaboration can only be done by humans. You can provide collaboration platforms again. There are so many platforms using which you can collaborate. But the quality of collaboration ultimately depends on the people, right? So when we look at projects, and any of you who are project managers or who are building project managers, I think we should spend a lot of time on people to get them understand some of these basics. The mindset of people who get into project management kind of functions is so critical. So they need to understand, firstly, you have to speak your mind, be assertive. Document and use documentation as the basis for conversation. Third, seriously look at collaborations and see what is the joint goal and how do you achieve that. So these three fundamentally people have to keep in mind. When I go back and look at projects either I have executed myself or seen others execute, the one major thing which actually causes a project to either fail or get into trouble is lack of expectation setting. So if it is a customer, we assume the customer knows what I'm going to do. Customer also assumes that they have told you what they want. Okay, so we're not talking about whether the customer should become better, because customer is the king, right? So let's not go there. Whatever customer has said is right. So what do we do? How do we ensure that expectation is set properly? How do we first of all understand what the requirements of the customer are, and how do you play it back to the level of detail that there is no ambiguity? And how do you do this every so frequently in your project so that there is no room for mismatch of expectation? It applies to anybody. You can, get a builder to build a house. This applies. There's nothing to do with software. Okay, you will. I'm sure all of you have gone through this some time in the life, or right, either building a house, getting a furniture done, whatever it is. There is always going to be, oh my God, this is not what I thought actually, right? That happens, and the guy who's doing the work for you will tell you, no sir, exactly, you know what, he will have 100 reasons why that door should be exactly where it is, or that knob should open only this way and not that way. He or she will have enough reasons, and you put up with it. Finally you say, okay, what else can I do? I'll just go ahead with it. Your customer also does this, right? If you don't set the expectation right, you can have all the great processes, great technology. The experience for the customer is not good. So you can end up saying, yeah, good house. People will come and say, oh, very good house, nice. Yeah, good. Yeah, but it was a really headache. So what have you achieved out of it? The person who did the project for you has not gained your goodwill. Okay. So the question here is, do we want to just execute a project and get out, or do you want to create an experience that is positive as part of that project? So expectation setting is one thing that I have seen falling again and again. Along with that, the ability for the project manager and whoever is involved in project management to be able to say, yes, I got it wrong. Maybe you can't do anything about it. Okay. Maybe there is a solution which is like in phase 2. Maybe that's another project. But the moment you say, yes, I've got it wrong, you've created a different experience. Because the other person is actually waiting to hear that. It could be a team member, for example. It could be a customer, right? So expectation is one thing I would, from my experience say, we need to focus very, very, strongly on. The other weakness that I have seen in projects is somebody mentioned about planning. Planning is so weak. And there are terms that we hear people say, we have to think this through. Many of us don't even understand what this thinking through is. Look at the big picture. Okay? I joined TCS, our Vice President then, Mr. Mahalingam, who may be known to many of you here, used to keep using this word, look at the big picture, look at the big picture. So I used to initially think, you take that picture, enlarge it and then look at it, so that you can see the details. That's what I thought is looking at the big picture. Okay? So we all hear these kind of words. So thinking through. If one cannot think through, you cannot plan. So thinking through, after a lot of experience, I have figured out that thinking through is actually visualizing the whole thing in your mind. Whatever that piece of project is, or your module is, or whatever that work you're going to do, how do you visualize that whole thing in your mind step by step? It's like, I have to come for this conference and speak. And I have a flight tomorrow from here to the US. And yesterday I'm thinking of what all I need to do. How do I plan my whole visit? If I don't play this whole thing in my mind one after the other, I may forget my passport. I may not carry my ID card. I may not do so many things. Okay? And then we'll have to resort to change management techniques, to get some other way of doing things. So thinking through is an art of visualization. I know that there are companies in Singapore who employ people who are called visualization managers or visualization experts. So their only job is to visualize and tell this is how it can happen. So when you go through the whole process of visualization, then you will figure out in a project plan, you have missed out 200 line items. I can assure you. Okay? I used to have a project manager, person called Ravisha, who has executed, at least 10 or 12, 200 plus person year projects. He will look at a project plan and he say this is not right. Because he will look at, he understands what the scope is and he looks at how many line items in your project plan. And he says this is not detailed. Something you have missed out. He can just intuitively say, for this kind of project you need at least 1,000 line items. You have only 400. So planning and being able to revisit that plan every time anything happens and go back and do it is important. This again goes back to for the Indian colleagues here. We feel very uncomfortable going and looking at our plan again. How many of you, I don't know, if you have to go on a vacation or you want to do something, really take a piece of paper or open an Excel sheet or whatever nowadays with so many gadgets, put down things like, I have to take my shoes, I have to carry this, that. And how many of you do this? I do not know. Still worse, if any of you does this, how many of your people at home will say, oh, this guy is like now PMP certified? Right? I know how many of you get pat on the back saying, well done, this is the way to do. We all should learn from you. We make fun of people who are methodical, who plan, who create checklists, who look at things. We have a problem. Okay? So this whole thing of going back into the plan and looking, oh, it rained, now I have to go back and look at my plan. What do I do? Is there anything else that I need to do because now that there is a rain? Okay, so the planning exercise is extremely important. So actually I'm deliberately avoiding words like risk management and configuration management and negotiate. All those things I'm keeping away because you all know it. Okay, all of you are certified. You take any book, it will have it. So I just don't want to go there. Mitigation, somebody talked about risk and mitigation. I think you are so fed up of hearing all that. Two other things I want to say and then probably I will stop. One is, I used to tell in projects when we execute that every day morning, let us all stand together, not sit, stand together. And each of you say, what is that you think can make this project go wrong or delay? Whatever it is, from your point of view. And just we'll write it down and then we'll all go. We will then not worry about the solution. And that simple thing I have seen give so much of results. You know why? Because that is what your management gurus have called risk management, creating a risk register. Okay. So as they say, you should ask the right question to get the right answer. If you call 10 people and say, or 3 people and say, no, create a risk register, say, what risk is there? Anything that they'll think, say, no, but this is not a risk, this will actually get solved, that guy will do it. But if you tell them what can go wrong, they will tell you 100 things. Have you ever faced a problem with asking somebody, you can do it today, here. Do you think all sessions will be completed today on time? I think there will be a problem. Okay? Why do you think there will be a problem? Or if you say, yeah, it will be okay. Are you sure? Not sure. Actually, if you look at it, they will say something. The moment you challenge people on what can go wrong, then you will identify the issues. This is something that I have found. Challenging people brings out those points. And the reason why we don't do it is, it's like our, when we all write written exams, we don't want to read our own paper. Right? I don't know how many of you, I have not been able to do it. I feel so uncomfortable reading my own thing. I just want to get out of the, examination hall. But if you carefully read it, you would have found out errors. Right? So we don't want that, we don't want to hear bad news in whichever way. So as a project manager, if you want to, everything is okay. Yeah, okay. Then you'll go. Because if you don't want to hear the word, something is not okay. Right? You come in the morning to the office and you see your team, and if somebody is like, if he's shaking his head or she is shaking her head, you say, what kind of guy is this? So much of negativity. But he has a genuine problem. He is seeing something that you are not seeing. And he wants to bring it to your notice, and you want only positivity. Okay? For the wrong reason. So as a project manager, be ready to accept negativity of this type. Ask for problems, challenge. Even if the person says, I will do it on time. No, I think this will go. Okay. Challenge. And I am assuring you, you will find problems earlier than, anyway the problem will come. So one good news is, the problem is there, it will come. Okay? You should not be like my uncle. Okay, in a different context I am telling you, but maybe in that context it is right also. So my aunt used to say when his son was going to some friend's house across the road, he'll say, hey, be careful, that road, and she'll start getting worried about whether he will go properly, cross the road, go there and come back. So my uncle used to have the Buddha-like, composure. He used to say, why are you worried? Anyway, after an accident, anyway we have to worry. Why should we want to start worrying now itself? Okay. So we should not take that approach as a project manager. Anyway, the earlier you figure out what is likely to go wrong, that much more time, energy, money you have to solve the problem. Right? So this is one thing that I have learned, sometimes the hard way, but I'm sharing it with you. The last thing that I want to say is, All of you would have heard the word rigor, right? R-I-G-O-R. I don't know whether in some parts it's G-O-U-R, but whatever it is, rigor, all of you know, right? It is one of the most difficult things for us to do as human beings. Start walking 20 minutes every day, second day, third day, fourth day rain, cut. Fifth day, Sunday, want to sleep, over, rigor gone. Right? And when somebody asks, yeah, I walk. Yeah, once in a while I will not do it. What is once in a while? Once in a while you will walk. That is what the rigor is. So, and we see people around who have that rigor and they are very successful people. Whatever they do, whether it is going back and looking at a project plan, okay, reading some doc, whatever it is, the rigor is so important. And people who do that rigor, they will find problems. They will do whatever. Okay. So if in your project management practices, you can try and build ways of inculcating these things into the teams by soft training, you call it, huddling, talking to them one-on-one, whatever way. If these messages can be given, the rest will happen. We don't have to stand here and talk about sell people for this kind of training. It will anyway happen. Right? New technology is introduced, everybody will be sent for the training. Or, project management, some new 3.0 version, PMI will release, you will release. Immediately people will get certified. So you don't have to do any, seminar, tell people please get certified. You will all do it. So the beauty of this topic is you have to look at what is beyond process, what is beyond technology, which makes a project succeed or fail. The people element and how people empathize with others, how people communicate with others, how they challenge each other. All that aspect differentiates a good project from a great project. Okay, that actually differentiates a good project manager from a great project manager. Sometimes you have to take exceptions on process and technology. And as a project manager, you need to know when to do it. You can't say, no, I have to do this because PMP has told me to do this. Your project will fail. It's okay. You can't take that approach. You have to know when to take exception. So you need to understand technology gives you a platform and process gives you a structure. And that's all it can be and nothing else. Okay? You and me as human beings have something in us which will make something, which will make a project successful, make it delightful to all the stakeholders. Okay, so that's So I'm ending my time. So that's what I had to share on this topic as an inaugural speaker. So they say 5 more minutes. So if there are any questions or even comments, if you don't agree with me, you want to criticize what I said, more than welcome. There's 5 more minutes.
If you are saying challenging the people, is it not like not believing the people?
Sorry?
If you are saying we need to challenge the people to get success, but does that mean that we are not believing the people, so we need to give them also liberty so that they can also become a leader? So we need to also give them flexibility to grow and learn and grow.
Flexibility, you have to give them flexibility, room. But if you don't challenge, meaning when I say challenge, it happens to Sachin Tendulkar also. Right? He after having scored 35 centuries, he goes to South Africa, he is like, innings after innings is failing. If his manager, coach, somebody doesn't want to challenge him and say, he will never do anything. So, giving flexibility and challenging are two different things. Our mind works on a force that comes from the opposite direction. Okay? That's when our mind starts focusing and trying to find the right answer. Each of us. If I am not asked anything, everything is okay, I just continue doing whatever I am doing. I don't think differently, I don't look at a problem, don't try to find solution. The innovative aspect of us comes when there is a challenge, when there is a pressure. All of us. Irrespective of whether, a person challenges us, nature challenges us, whoever challenges, it is at that time when the best comes out. So you need to know, and this is like I can't, I can be wrong. I would have challenged people more than I could challenge. That's something that we learn over a period of time, and there is a balance that one we need to achieve. But unless we challenge, the best doesn't come out. We don't think differently. That's what I feel.
Good morning. Good insight. And on the topic, of course, you said a couple of things. Maybe it's like small comment, like you made my viewpoint. You said this is, of course, we are not being very aggressive. There is a very fine and very thin line between aggression and arrogance. If you have 100 people, 90 are receptive. Let's say a forum of receptive people. In our country, it is the way we do projects, the way we behave, our culture generally soft. Anybody being aggressive, we treat him as arrogant. I think many people in this forum also would agree, I feel. And how do you really distinguish? How could you be so aggressive? That's one point. Related to the same topic, we speak about, of course, Julia is here, she is hearing anyway. So, people talk about the foreign nationals, they have been very, very aggressive, and even then, the projects run by them, projects run in India. You can compare success rates, how fast they finished, how fast we finished, what's the budget outgo from that side, from this side. To compare, there is no big difference whether you are aggressive or soft, but there is a basic element where something is really missing. We are not able to do projects in time with the given budget.
Okay, so my 2 cents on that comment. The reason I said this is, assertiveness is not necessarily being aggressive and talk like, come on. You can be very soft. I had a boss who used to be so soft, but he's so sure of what he's saying. You can play, dance, sing around, he will say what he said. But I don't think this is right. So you can very softly continue to say what you said is right. And after a point you say, this is what I said. Now you don't want to accept it. Maybe there are certain things you cannot. I don't want to proceed without this, but sometimes you have to give up. So it is not about the way you say, it is about holding on to what you think is right, not to the point of being adamant, right? Sometimes that also can happen. So in life you can say anything and you can come from the other side. That's the beauty, right? Confidence can become overconfidence. Anything can become anything. But on the second point that you said, while somebody else, an American or a British or an Australian project and our project, we are, we do projects more successfully, etc., all that is fine. The way I look at it is like this. If, in spite of having all these problems, we are so successful, why can't we be 3 times more successful than what we are today? Why do we think this is enough? I am growing at 50%. I have 5 defects. And they're easily fixable. I will grow 150%. Don't I want to grow at 150%? Do you still think India is a superpower? It is not. When will it become superpower? When we think big. Let us not be satisfied with even excellence. They say don't be satisfied with mediocrity. I am saying we should not even be satisfied with excellence. Because we don't know in relative terms what much more we can do, right? And if there is a very simple thing, if we correct, we can get bit better. Why not do it? And I think you can ask any of our American, British, or whatever customers, they consistently over and over again they tell, you guys are great when you are told what to do. So we are extremely fast, to your point, when the project is being put together and said this is what you have to do, we will do it. The more ambiguity in the project scope and what needs to be done, the less successful we are. Maybe it is a cultural thing, maybe it's a perception thing, whatever it is. It is a problem, it is a reality that all of us are facing. I see in my industry, I see in engineering industry because in utilities I work very closely with the engineering industry. Everyone says the same. So from doers, can we get a little better by doing this? That's my point. Yeah. Do we have time for? Yeah. Morning.
we map generally people on a grid of technical versus soft skills. And we say 5-5 and above is good. What do you think, in your opinion, Indian people are? Where does it stand?
What is 5-5?
So 5 is, okay, on a scale of 10, for example. Technically it should be 10. Soft-wise, you take a scale of 10. So we prefer people to be actually 10-10. So to be the best in both technical as well as soft. But then Indian people, like you rightly said, soft skills and technical put together. What do you think, in your opinion, as of your 26 years of experience, where do you think Indian people are? Are they on a scale of highly technical, less of soft?
So, okay, I don't know whether I can exactly answer that question, but I'll tell you, the way I look at this is,
because just to extend this, because we talk about competency gap, assessment, training the people, all this we do. And ultimately, by doing what we have been doing it. So, where are we with respect to the kind of grid of technical versus soft?
So, if I look at technical, there are, in technical skills, in any field, there are broadly two categories, okay? The first category where it is, actually getting constructing the stuff, okay? There we are probably 8, 9, wherever. There is another thing which is conceptualizing, designing aspect of the technology, where I feel the volume of people who are at that 8, 9 is less. Not that they don't have the capability. 50% of the people have the capability, but they don't have the assertiveness to say, I can do it. So they still remain at the 4, 5. And a lot of people still remain at 4, 5 because of capability issue, okay, on the technical side. But because the volume of the first category is so much, we are seen as highly technical, kind of a country. The second aspect, whether you call it soft skills, it's about attitude, how you come across, assertiveness, confidence, communication, all of that. We are average. As a country, I don't think we'll go beyond 5. There would be, 10-20% of the people who are in that upper, bracket, a pitch I hit to become the CEO of, Google, probably has that kind of a thing, right? So, those kind of people are there, but generally, this is low. In fact, what we should be focusing on is making this, and this is easier to make 8, 9, okay? This is difficult to make 8, 9. In any field for that matter. You take any technology, making everybody or majority of the people in the 8, 9 here is very, and actually you don't need it. Technology, iPhone itself, you need only so much of iPhone to actually use it. There's so much of technology in it. Why do you need to know it? You don't have to, right? So this is the focus for India. I think this is the focus where we should be spending a lot of money. So I think from that point of view, this topic is very relevant and something that we all should focus on. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the great thoughts. Definitely people are more important and bigger asset in every organization. Technological upgrade and using the correct technology in the project will definitely help to improve the project management. Soon our way of working will change and the way of thinking of assertiveness and the think through will change. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present memento and the Spot A1 photograph in memory of the conference to Mr. Sudheer Warrier. May I request Ram, our President, to do the honor.